Alright everyone, we start off today talking about some more drug war cringe, a little bit of propaganda here, taking an old concept, which has been around for years, is exceedingly rare, and attempting to insinuate that it's very, very common and massively on the rise because marijuana was legalized in numerous states. It's interesting how we never heard about this before. Anyway, links in the description. I'm going to read a little bit of this verbatim, right? Because it's important. I'll make sure that this is opened up and ready to go. It is called Scromiting, which is shorthand for screaming and vomiting. This is the term that they're using for this particular facet of marijuana usage. Article at a glance. What is Scromiting from the Recovery Village? I'm assuming it's probably some fucking Christian site or something. Scromiting is a condition in which chronic marijuana use leads to episodes of severe vomiting, causing the person to scream. Here are some important reminders about scromiting. Scromiting is not a medically used term, but describes a condition called CHS. Good to know. So it's a noted medical term. Why don't you use the medical terminology on your, supposedly a very rigorous site here? CHS is rare, but can occur in people who use marijuana more than once a day continuously for years. The only way to treat CHS long term is to stop using marijuana. Or you could fucking tone it down, or you could stop dabbing and using stupid drugs and just go back to good old bud. I like on the side, marijuana addiction self-assessment quiz. Hey, do you smoke 10 joints a day? Am I addicted to marijuana? Yes, you are, because you smoked pot 3 years ago. It's one of those fucking sites. Anyway, this got taken up by Eve Simmons. If you go to Eve Simmons, again, link in the description, award-winning journo, deputy health editor, Mail on Sunday. Literally never heard of it. Editor at Not Plant-Based, author of Eat It Anyway, bakes cakes out of rainbows and smiles. So you're peddling sugar to people, which will actually kill them, diabetes and all these other things. But you're really, you're very, very upset about marijuana usage. And it's funny here up at top. And of course she's posing with a bunch of weed plants, I guess. Legalizing pot seems like a common sense policy, but in fact it's a public health disaster that the marijuana industry is doing its darndest to cover up. Totally unwoke, I know, but facts are facts. My report from sunny and smelly LA here. And she's getting ratioed and dragged for this. I'll probably help later. Again, link in the description, so clankers, go and clank up after you smoke up. Here's the truth about scromiting. This is a linguistic meme. This is a propaganda attempt. You're trying to create a new word to encompass an old idea. It's being presented as though it's on the rise, very common. Marijuana becoming legal has caused people to smoke so much more of it. Can I ask, firstly, what kind of people would smoke that much marijuana? And secondly, in this economy, and I know this is rhetorical, how many people can afford to do that? The answer to number one is, of course, trust funders, upper middle class college babies. They don't have much experience with weed probably. They get to college, it's everywhere. And they're like, oh, wow, this is pretty great, man. Back in my home state, it's not legal, man. Let me buy 10 pounds of pot and smoke it over the course of the semester. Yeah, you think that might cause some health issues using that much THC? Possibly. The fact is that the article self-admits to the rarity and to the extreme circumstances under which scromiting, which does not exist at all, would actually happen. It's being taken up unironically by the same drug war nerds that have been doing this sort of horse shit for decades now. Do you remember it being a gateway drug? It's funny how that dropped off of the radar some time ago when it was noted in new studies that people were smoking pot and using other drugs because the other drugs were giving them withdrawal symptoms, so they smoked weed to fill the gap. By the way, common with alcohol usage as well. Obviously, alcohol causes heroin addiction. Well, no, it doesn't. People, withdrawing from heroin, they get hammered so that they don't have as many withdrawal symptoms. It's been known for quite a while. Artie Lang weighing in on that at one point, actually, on the Stern Show. I thought this is so funny. Yet another linguistic invention, and I can see right through it because I've been doing this for a long time. Wrote the book on occult memetics quite literally. I think it's sold about 10,000 copies by now. This is, when you see a term like this, a new term, truncated. Non-scientific, very, very, very much mimetic, very layman's style. Screaming and vomiting while scromiting. It's a whole new thing. Marijuana legalization is causing teenagers to scream and vomit and go crazy and stuff. This is reefer madness all over again. When you see this kind of truncated terminology for something that is much more lengthy, you're talking about a scientific acronym for a very heavy scientific term. And what you need to do is encapsulate a meaning in as little space as possible so it's more memorable, and it's something that is meme-worthy. In this case, it's just outright cringe, but people that take this crap seriously they'll imbibe it into their heads, and now they'll worry that Johnny, because he goes down to the dispensary, Johnny's 23 years old, he's mama's little angle. He goes to the dispensary, and he gets a slice of some good bubbly or something like that. He gets some lemon haze. Mom will scream and throw up her hands and cry and wail and pound the floor. Oh my God, Johnny, you're going to be scromiting later. Johnny, what are you doing to your health? And that's really the way it works with the drug war. It really is that cringe. Reefer madness. Gateway drug. Acid craziness. You're going to stare at the sun until you go blind and your eyes melt out of their sockets and shit like that. I remember the ecstasy scare back in the 90s. Well, this girl, and it's always a very virginal prom queen style high school girl. That's the ultimate stereotype of don't do drugs. She was all popular, and here she is dancing in her red dress. She loved her jock boyfriend. He was the football captain. Very popular. Also daddy's girl, never did anything untoward. When she went out on a date, it was the third date before she got a peck on the cheek, of course. But then, friend introduced her to ecstasy, or just fucking slipped it in her drink, and that was the only drug in her system, and then she died. Now she was bleeding out of all orifices. I can remember the Jankum scare. You remember that from the 2000s? It was an internet meme, the idea that people were shitting and pissing in glass bottles and putting balloons over them, trapping the gases and then huffing them to get high. Yeah, try doing that and see if you don't vomit then. It's called inhalants, by the way. By the way, I remember the inhalant scare. Well, kids are taking whipped cream cans and they're huffing the fumes to get high. I remember scarfing. Scarfing was a brief craze. Oh my God, young people, especially little kids, because then, you'll think more about it and you'll want the government to step in because, of course, kids are getting hurt. They're masturbating while choking themselves in order to get high. Oh my God, we've got to do something about this. Make sure to check your children's room for erotic literature, their internet searches, and rubber bands, because they might accidentally kill themselves or their dick falls off or something. And over and fucking over and over, you get this kind of terminology. Again, gateway drug, which does not exist. It's a fake term. Reefer madness, the idea that you smoke the reefer and then you go mad. Acid madness, things like that. When you see this kind of terminology, be very, very careful. Patriot Act comes to mind. Hey, here's 100 pages if we want to spy on you and start wars. It's basically patriotic now, isn't it? Oh my God, you're questioning it? Well, I mean, you want the country to be attacked by Al-Qaeda. By the way, I think the Taliban just declaring war on ISIS again the other day. Very interesting. So yes, we have a new drug war meme dropping. It is the cringiest yet, I think. This is definitely up there with gateway drug. Read through these and make sure to do some clanking, everyone, because it's all good family fun. A lot of you smoke weed. I happen not to. Did in the past. I was never scromiting. I guess the idea is that if I had had a better income at the time, I would have slowly done more and more and more weed, and eventually I'd just be lying on the floor gasping for breath and wailing and talking about the devil and shit like that. Hey kitty, you don't need to be at that part of the video. Just trying to fuzzy my screen up. It's anti-glare, but with all the cat hair on it, doesn't function as intended all the time. I mean, it's off the chain. And it's also funny, so this is your funny story of the day. That's about all. Peace out.